So what has been called the new telematic culture has brought a new set of values, behaviors and ideas, especially among young people. It is indeed a very exciting time, but our frenetic lifestyles, rapid form of transport and communication allow us to transcend what used to be natural limits of the body and to live our everyday life as a sort of mental experience. We are constantly thinking about things. We never really slow down and connect with ourselves. Everybody's rushing, nobody seems to be really content. There is always the need of more and more in our society. And this constitutes a very fertile ground for addictions, but also for other mental health disorders. We have very high target in society that we need to achieve, but sometimes, especially vulnerable individuals, are not able to do so. So they come into the addiction. During the past 10 years, we've seen an explosion of what we call behavioral addiction. When I started studying in my field, the only addiction that we knew was drug addiction. But now we got a lot of behavioral addiction coming out in society. From gaming, to gambling, to sex addiction, to porn addiction, to love addiction, to work addiction. And there are so many new forms of addictive behaviors that we are studying and seeing coming out in society. So there are different kinds of addiction, but there is only one process behind it. It's the addiction as a form of escape from negative emotion and feeling inside ourselves that is common to every type of addiction that we are facing in society. That's the real problem. That's what we need to target. Do we need social media? Clearly no, but we can't escape it, isn't it? It's so embedded in our everyday life. So it's part of who we are in this moment, you know. So we need to embrace the social media and try to make the best out of it. It's very interesting to study these new behaviors that is coming and developing in society. When we see something new, the first thing that we want to do is take out our phone and take the picture and possibly post it on the Facebook or Instagram. In a way, it's like we can't engage with reality anymore in a direct way. I was in the Amalfi Coast, I'm Italian, before coming here, and I was looking at this beautiful landscape, and all what I saw is people just taking their phone and taking the picture, maybe even from the car, you know, of the beautiful coast, instead of parking the car, taking your shoes off, go on the beach, feel the sand on your feet, the beautiful sea, the beautiful mountains, the landscape around you, go for a swim. This is what is missing. Everything seems to be mediated by the device. Social media has, of course, a lot of advantages. It helps us to communicate, to promote ourselves, to be in touch with others. But at the same time, especially for vulnerable individuals, it can constitute a pressure to look and behave in a certain way. A lot of influencers on Instagram are presented what we call the perfect body, this V-shaped muscular body for men and this slender and toned body for female. And it looks like if you don't have that body, you are missing something in society. If you are vulnerable, then you are affected by it. It's really much changing our identity. It's the sense of lack that is emerging because you can't meet that standard, you can meet that model. So you feel like you don't have enough. And then, you know, we go into problems. We are seeing, for instance, more and more people with dysmorphic disorders. They don't like the way they look. They perceive imperfections everywhere. They cover up themselves because they don't appreciate the way they look. And there are many other mental disorders associated with that. I've been studying quite for a long time the use of drugs and enhancers, for instance. Of course, if the target is so high, given by the media, and you are not able to achieve it naturally, let's say, through physical exercise or diet, you might be inclined to take performance enhancers to reach that target, or image enhancer to look in a certain way. And here is where the risks really start. Well, video games are fun. it's fun to play, and you know, they are entertaining, they can be educational and so on, and we don't want to pathologize video games. But what we're seeing is more and more people, especially children and adolescents, having a dependence, developing a dependence to games. They are not able to give up. Their social life is compromised, their mental health is compromised. So there has been a huge debate recently about video games. And with pleasure, I have to say, it's been recently included in the ICD-11, which is very much the international classification of diseases by the WHO, the World Health Organization. So it's been recognized as a disease. So it means that we've done enough research and we have protocols for treating people affected by video games dependence. So it's indeed one of the behavioral addictions that we are studying, but it's very much connected with the person engaging with the behavior. So again, most of the time what we're seeing is a neurobiological risk associated to that, as well as in the other behavioral addiction. It's very much impairing the dopamine pathways, but it's also impairing the life of the person. It's the social withdrawal that is very concerning, especially children and young people. They might affect schooling performance. And you know, it's not only the social life, but it's very much their professional lives and their mental health. A lot of anxiety is coming out of that, and isolation from what is the social context. This is very worrying. The digital world is very appealing to young people. It's fun to them, it's engaging. You can see the children from the very young age playing, you know, with the mobile phone or play games and so on. It's fun, it's entertaining. You have to consider they develop very much their identity at that time. And even when you are a little bit older, like an adolescent, it's very much that concept of independence from the family that you want to develop. And maybe to have your own life online can, you know, be even more appealing to them because they want to be independent from the family and the parents. It's something that we are studying for the first time, and it's happening very, very quickly. The generation of my time, we didn't have iPhone or iPads to play with when we were children. We had to develop our own creativity, invent new games, you know, new interaction with others, which is kind of absent now. So it's very much shaping the identity of children and young people and the role that they will have in society. So that's why the mindful use of social media and the internet is very important, especially during the growing age. We know that at the very young age, 0 to 5 years old, I would say, it's advised not to have any interaction with media or social media. And anyway, even in young people, we need to control the use of social media. It's very important that the family is engaged and is promoted this mindful use of the internet, so they are not left alone with their iPad or their iPhone playing by its control. And this needs to be very much combined with social activities of time, you know, offline time, which is very important. Well, in many different ways. It's indeed a very complex phenomenon. Again, the digital platforms is a tool that we can use in a bad or good way. It can be good to, you know, socialize digitally, but also we need real-life relationships, which are also very important, and they need to be combined with the online contacts that we have. Of course, can also be very risky, especially if you don't know much about the internet and who you can meet online and so on. And our concern is very much related to children and young people. That's why it's very important to have this mindful approach to the use of social media and the mentorship, the supervision from the side of the parents. On the other side, it can also bring a lot of isolation, because you think to have maybe 1,000 friends on Facebook and then you have none in real life. This is very much a concern. There is this phenomenon, it's called the hikikomori in Japan. I don't know if you heard about it here in Azerbaijan. It's very much this social withdrawal, especially of young male. We've seen this mainly a male-related phenomenon in Japan, but it's coming to Europe, it's coming to us, Azerbaijan as well is connected to the use of the internet is social withdrawal. And you are so much into the internet, into developing this social relationship online, that you withdraw from your social life. You don't have friends anymore. Sometimes it becomes very pathological and you don't leave your room anymore. Sometimes not even to eat or go to the toilet, you know. You don't feel your body anymore. You are completely inside maybe the game that you are playing with others or the interaction, that you completely forget about your real life. And this can also be very risky and lead us to isolation. But we are social beings, so you know, we are meant to interact, go out and enjoy life. That's a very interesting question. In our secular society, we lost this contact with the inner self. And mind and body are so separate that they seem to be like two different lives that we live. We are constantly thinking, we are constantly trapped in our head, and we miss a connection with our physicality, with our inner self. We are constantly relying on others for opinion. We feel happy when we receive a lot of likes on Facebook or, you know, followers on Instagram. Everything seems to be externally related. But very much work is around our inner life, our emotion, our sensation, which are very much neglected in our society. I gave earlier the example of the hikikomori. It is social withdrawal because you are so absorbed into technology that you miss that connection with the sensation and emotion of your own body. So there is very much a need here to regain that our connection with ourselves, with our sensation, with our emotion, the relationship with others in a real life. That's a need that we have, and it's very much something that we need to develop different techniques to come back into ourselves and regain a mind and body connection. This is very much causing problems because we are not aware of the physical body. We might become aware of the body only when we are sick, for instance. Then you can ignore the pain. Then you become aware of your body. But we don't need to go into this extreme situation to enjoy our being, because we don't only have a body. It's not an object, it's not a machine made to rush. We are our own body. It's a huge challenge. I mean, parents are very much challenged in this digital age because they are called to a new role. First of all, they need to give a good example. There is no point to complain about excessive uses of the internet among your children if you do it yourself. So sometimes it's like you give the phone or the video game to your child because you are busy. We are all busy in our society, so that might be seen as a sort of relief for the parents. But then maybe you see the parent doing exactly the same thing, him or herself. You go out, maybe you have a meal in a restaurant, and you see often, and I'm sure it is also here in Azerbaijan, in Baku, you see families not communicated around the table, but everybody is just doing the same thing with the phone. That's the first thing. Be a good example for your children. Also, I think, especially for children and young people, the time online should be monitored. There should be like a rule in the house. There is a huge potential behind, so it's very much promoting in the family a mindful use of the media, of the social media. Maybe have the computer, the family computer, in a common zone, not in the private room of the child, so that you are aware about the behavior online of the child. Sometimes parents don't even care about the time and the quality of time that the child is spending online, the type of usage that it has. But also I think it's equally important to promote social activities in the family where there is real interaction, where we stimulate the creativity of our children also outside the online context. I think this is also very, very important. To young people, I would say, log out and go and enjoy the wonder of your real life. Thank you very much for having me here. It's been a great honor and pleasure to be in Azerbaijan. There is much that we can do together. I think collaboration with science and different countries is fundamental. So I really hope we can see each other again soon. Thanks again. Bye.